Because most of the time, opposites attract in marriage. You find two guys, the guy is very extroverted, and he sees this lady and says, I just like her, she's very quiet and calm, because he's very extroverted. And you see the lady, I'm too quiet, this guy is very social, So the things that attract people in marriage sometimes are the things that separate them. The same person, after some years without hearing, you're too quiet. Talk.
Welcome back. So let's rest easy on the hard issues now and talk about the soft issues. It's the soft issues that determine how we respond really to the hard issues. So it's time now for some honest discussions on love and compatibility. So joining us on this segment of the program is cleric, the pastor of Global Impact Church, Pastor Yemi Davids. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning. To the morning brief. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here, and well done.
Thank you so much, sir. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So, as Kade would say sometimes, it appears a chicken and an egg situation when it comes to love and compatibility. I wonder, which comes first? Is it love and then compatibility, or is it compatibility that really is the most important issue on the ladder, and then love grows? Let's start from there.
I think it's a mix, right? When you talk about compatibility, it's about harmony, like a flow. That flow would not work if you don't love the other person. Unfortunately, our definition of love has been kind of skewed or not too robust enough. Love is not just the feelings and the emotions we have, like those who, before you got married, there is what we call the in-love experience. That mode where you
cloud nine.
Yeah, you don't see anything wrong with the person. He or she is just the best thing. But you got to migrate. You got to, So most people don't move beyond that space or that phase. Now, that's where the compatibility thing comes in. Now, when you are settled, for instance, in the marital situation, when you are settled, then you need some, beyond the feelings, you need the maturing. And that's where shared values, understanding the other person comes in. And that's where, if you don't understand that, there'll be crisis, that we are different. That a male is different from a female. For instance, I'm left-handed. I don't know, maybe you're right-handed.
Yeah.
We are different. The way I place my books when I'm writing is not the same way you do that. So the moment you don't understand that, you'll be looking at things from your own perspective, and that's not love. So love is not selfish. If you're self-centered, you'll be judging the other person based on your own perspective, your own ideologies, and then that's a recipe for crisis. That's when the compatibility thing comes in. That they're not harmonizing. You're not harmonizing because you're selfish.
Oh. Ouch. You're talking to everybody listening. You were looking at me. I felt attacked. But it's okay.
Because, see, when we started our church, for instance, I was a younger pastor, and I was doing a lot of counseling. I was wondering, I'm still young and I'm counseling a lot of, young couples. So I realized that marriage is a different ballgame entirely, that people are not well enlightened or educated. No wonder we have such counseling needs. So we did something, we started having a specialized service where we teach on relationships on a Sunday. We had to dedicate a whole service. And I realized that the moment we started talking about issues like this, people got more enlightened and the counseling needs just reduced. As little as understanding that your love language is not the same as my love language. What makes you feel loved is not the same thing that makes me feel loved. It's like the fish. When the fisherman goes to the waters, the fish enjoys worm, right? But I don't like worms. I love noodles. I don't put noodles on the hook because I love that. No, I put what the fish enjoys. That is the one, but I don't like it. But if I have to fellowship with the fish, I must put on the hook what the fish likes. So I put the worm, but I don't like it.
I have a question.
Yes,
I shouldn't do that, but I think, that interesting analogy, it just made me think, well, obviously the fisherman is trying to eat the fish. Right? So, of course, he will do anything.
He wants to fellowship with the fish.
Fellowship with the fish. I like that.
He wants to fellowship with the fish. If the fish must swim towards him at all, You have to do what the fish likes.
Want. And that's very important.
Yeah.
I know Valentine's just ended.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a week now since Valentine's ended.
It's a week, yeah.
I don't know of anyone who says, I don't want to be loved.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be loved.
Man or woman, right?
Man or woman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never met anybody that says, I don't want to be loved. I want to be hated. But what you find is not everybody is loved, or not everybody feels that love. So something is wrong. It's either we're deceiving ourselves as a people, or we're not just getting something right. And I don't want to generalize, because I know that there are peculiarities.
Yeah.
But if you had to rate it and say, this is one reason I have noticed consistently that love that we want to receive is not what we get, or what we really want is not what we're getting, what would that reason be?
It's still the same thing about understanding other people, where they are. I give this example. Our daughter one evening shouted from her room, was a loud, I was even scared. I thought something, very, horrible had happened. I got into the room, and then she started screaming, "One gecko, one gecko." Is that why you wanted to break the entire house? But within me, there was just that alarm. One gecko is nothing to you. I grew up with lizards around the house. But for her, it's a big deal. So I can't love you if I don't acknowledge your own need. If I do it from my own perspective, I'll be satisfying myself. It's like currency. You don't put dollar in a Naira account. So we think a lot from our own. A man always tries to judge the woman from his own perspective. But the woman is not the man. Men, for instance, are logical. For a man, 1 + 1 = 2.
Straight and forward.
Yeah, that kind of thing for most men, I think. Yeah, 1 + 1 = 2. This happened, so what happened? But for a woman, she's emotional. She's more relational. So if you understand that, and you're having a conversation with a lady, you understand and empathize with her feelings. You have to let go of yourself. If we do that, we can love anyone.
So let me ask, who should not marry?
If you're not ready to be a blessing to somebody else, maybe you should let it go. If you're not ready, because I tell our guys in our church that when we're getting married, you see the father of the bride handing over the woman to you. Are you going to make that woman's life better after a year, after 5 years? Or when the man comes back, you say, you're doing a worse job, kind of. You've made her worse. The same thing for the woman. You're entering this man's life. What are you going to add to him? If you're not ready for that, then maybe you should let it go.
Yeah, because it looks like, so I want you to speak to the issues around compromise, patience, and who needs what the most when it comes to man and woman. Being married, I also realized that one of the things I see people make as a mistake, which I learned, is sometimes it feels like people are not, beyond compromise, people are not ready to say, I will live with this reality as long as it's not existential. I need you to speak to it.
Well, it's a lot of now, like patience. If I understand you, I would be patient with you. When we talk about temperaments, we have extroverts, introverts, we have the sanguines, for instance. Sanguines are a bit scattered. My wife's a bit like that, she can put some things around. I'm the,
organized.
Yeah. Now, when you understand somebody else's temperament, you anticipate mistakes. You anticipate patterns. When that is there, you be patient with that person. But when you don't have that, you spoil things.
So who should be more patient, man or woman?
It depends on what, with each other.
Okay.
There are some things, like, because I'm the choleric, we don't process things up easily. We want things done now. If she understands that, then she'll be patient when I'm in that space, when I'm behaving like that, because she understands that. The same way, I have to understand when I come home and I see some things scattered. She has come, instead of fighting her, I will help her to arrange it. So I think it goes either way. You have to be patient with me if you understand me. If you don't understand me, you will judge me. You will condemn me. You will use your own areas of strength to club me down, because most of the time opposites attract in marriage. What I mean, you find two guys, the guy is very extroverted, and he sees this lady and says, I just like her, she's very quiet and calm, because he's very extroverted. And you see the lady, I'm too quiet, this guy is very social, you know. So the things that attract people in marriage sometimes are the things that separate them. The same person, after some years without hearing, you're too quiet. Talk. You understand? So, but understanding that that's how she is, and that's how he, and this is not just for marriage, even with our kids. Our kids are very different. We have 4 daughters, for instance. They are very different. Different temperaments. One of them, if you want to correct her, you have to sit her down and explain things. Because she's a melancholy, for instance. And she will get it. But the other one, another one, you got to talk loud enough before it imagine if you apply that to the other person,
so not work.
Not even just not work, you'll be damaging the person. So the ideology of I treat my children the same way, it's ignorance.
You know, I'm spoiled for choice because a lot of things are coming up from what you're saying. First you talked about men being logical, women being emotional. You know, some would say that we all operate in different zones. Sometimes men are operating in their, what do they call it now, in their masculinity, but there is also a feminine, a soft side to the man. For instance, it depends on how a woman treats a man treats a woman, and then she operates in a masculine energy where she wants, you know, where she wants to take control. She's you know, financially confident, she takes on her challenges, she solves her problems herself. And then there's this issue of you know, people are different. How long do you need to know an individual before you take on that decision? Some have attended workers in training and they're probably giving you words of knowledge, but when you get into that relationship, it's a different ball game. Sometimes they come up with knife at you during conflicts. How do you respond to these issues?
I think it's the foundation, like courtship. You know, we encourage people, don't rush into this, okay? You're never 100% persuaded, but at least give some time of persuasion, 6 months minimum, some do 2 years. Don't overstretch it too. Some people overstretch the courtship until they break everything. You know? So I think that's where the challenge. I've seen people, I mean, I've had to deal with cases where somebody met someone and just excited. Calm down. Calm down. Give some time. Get to know his parents. Let's know the siblings. You know, no, I've decided, I've prayed, blah, 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 blah. And they rushed into it. And another 2 years. I mean, even those that had very robust courtship still had to work at their homes. So I think that's the thing, that process time. If you're in a hurry, you're going to have problems. Impatience is very deadly. If you don't, you know, something opens up when you're patient. No matter how somebody tries to hide something, it opens up if you allow that process time. And you know, when we score people in exams, you know, you don't have to have 100%. You could be 70, you could be 65, and then you pass. So the same way, I don't have to know everything about you before I marry you, but at least I have some time to evaluate. I know your strength, your weaknesses. I can't really change you. But the question is this, with these weaknesses I'm saying, can I live with it? You have to tell yourself, okay, this is just like this, but I can live with this. But if you cannot live with it, let it go. But the thinking of, I will get married, he will change, or she will change, is a problem. Yes, sir.
I have another question. And we need your help. It's a matter of national importance. And I had to bring this in because as we're talking, I realized that we can actually borrow your knowledge and wisdom in this matter. So, in a setting, an organizational setting, the leader in that sense assigns seats. And so this is where you have to sit.
Okay.
So a particular woman who they've had like back and forth said she wasn't going to sit there. And it turned into a heated debate. And I'm talking about what happened in the Senate between the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and Senator Natasha Akpoti, where seats were assigned. And Senator Akpoti said, you know, this has been, I've gone through a lot in this Senate. You know, I've been showed shege in that sense, and I've been discriminated against. And a lot of people were saying they should go see a counselor.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Go see a counselor.
Nigeria needs to see.
There you go. But the point here is they have different temperament.
Yeah.
And people have said, oh, the Senate president should have handled it in a different way, that women see things in a different way. So I wonder, in an organizational setting, for example, where there's always that clash, the woman feels like I'm being discriminated against, and you as a leader, you want to be assertive without being too
dehumanized.
Should they see a counselor? How should they approach things?
I think the challenge is that relationship has gone bankrupt already. Because it looks like there's a deficit. We call it love account. When you're in any setting, whether marriage or like a staff in a place, you have love accounts with each other. Every interaction, you make deposits or withdrawals. So what happened? You can tell that someone's account has been overdrawn. That's what happened. So it's bound to happen.
You need an overdraft.
Oh yeah, so that's what it's. So when you talk to her in the office, you're either making deposits or making withdrawals in marriage setting. So we encourage people, make deposits as much as you can. So the day you do a withdrawal, it doesn't result in a crisis.
So should they have like a sit down, go out, have dinner?
I would think the leader should take that responsibility of making that deposit. I mean, the way she was talking, you could tell, withdrawals have been taken, the way they talk to me in the Senate, the way they do this. I think it's unfair. I don't know what she had done, but whatever she would have done. So I think leadership should show some kind of responsibility and find a way of making some deposits. If not, so whether you sit here or there are certain things you just overlook when the account is in good stead. You just, and it happens in marriages too, when maybe the husband has been or the wife has been making deposits in the way you respect your husband and the way the man also expresses love to her. Something happens on a particular day, it didn't do well, it doesn't necessarily mean the marriage will tear apart because the account is still robust. So let's find ways
Thank you very much.
making deposits every day.
We'll cut this side and send it to the National Assembly.
They can play it.
Both of them.
Right?
This is from Pastor Yemi to the National Assembly.
Let's find a way of every day.
Yes.
Your staff, downline, upline, spouse, friends, find a way of making deposits, because the day you're going to make withdrawal, you can't really tell.
Yeah. I mean, we can't go without you talking to this generation. This Gen Z. Which generation are we now? There's Gen Z, there's
Alpha,
there's all these generations.
Right.
Because I'm a millennial, so a couple of us are millennials. So
some of us are baby boomers.
So you can't be a baby boomer.
I claim it.
So when we look at the way millennials are running, there's a lot of positives with them.
Energy,
but there are also a lot of concern
as
to their ability to prosecute life and get the kind of results some of us can get out of life because of their worldview, in terms of immediacy, in terms of speed, in terms of impatience. So if you were to advise this generation, because it's important, 30, 40 years from now, they will be somewhere. And whatever they carry as their own reality is going to be the norm. And that could be dangerous.
Process. Anything you don't process will not last in your hands. Want to blow, that sudden, if you get the money suddenly, you'll be able to manage it. You're going to come down. If there's anything I'm going to say to younger people, is allow process. You grow through it. That growth will help you to manage the promotion, the elevation, the finance, the wealth. Without that, you're going to just spoil everything. Unfortunately, because of the microwave thing and social media, that awareness has to be there. Not everything on social media is real. You see somebody standing behind 2 Rolls Royce, or 2 vehicles. Can you ask yourself, what is he doing for a living? Don't just go there and be liking and be sharing. Can you just at least ask, what did he do or what did she do to earn this
in Nigeria?
Yeah, wherever. What is his job? Is he a real estate? What kind of real estate? How real is the estate? And how many years of investment? So that you can at least think responsibly. Don't just say anything, they're spraying money. Someone that's earning properly might not spray like that. So I think that kind of conversation needs to be on, and I'm glad for this kind of platform where processing is better. If you rush into marriage, for instance, you rush out. The same way you started in a business and you want to make maybe billions under 6 months, why? Now if it comes, do you have the staffing capacity? Do you have the maturity to handle that? Allow the process. Grow through the process so you can enjoy the product.
Let me slot this one in, Pastor, before we let you go. And it's also important. It also borders on counsel for this generation and maybe even earlier generations. Because of this challenge of love and dating and relationships, there is an avalanche of dating sites, matchmaking sites, relationship sites on singles. What counsel will you offer?
People should just show common sense. I mean, I agree that you can meet anyone anywhere, but doesn't mean you should marry the person the next day. Okay, I meet you on Facebook, fine. I want to meet. You can't go and meet someone in a house you've never been to. Can you meet in a public place, at least in an open space? Just some common sense. You can meet somebody on Facebook. It's okay to meet somebody on Facebook, even on a dating site, depending on the kind of dating site anyway. But even after meeting the person, what kind of process would you allow? Let's not do the love is blind thing. No, love is responsible. Love is sane, because God is love and God is not blind. So I think meeting somebody is fine. You meet them in a party or anywhere. But what is the process? Okay, after that, can you calm down, right? And ask for counsel. Who is he? Who is she? That process will help you to make some very responsible decisions, whether to let go or to pursue it further. I think it's still that patience thing he mentioned earlier, and it's a virtue for anyone, whether you're old or young. Impatience, I learned something years ago, and it has helped me a lot, that your greatest mistakes will be made because of impatience. Because certain things will be hidden that you need to know that would have enhanced the quality of your decision. So whatever we're doing, business, relationship, let's allow patience, process, and it will last better.
So much has come out of this conversation. What's your emotional bank account reading? Thank you so much.
We'll cut that part and send to the Senate.
Pastor Yemi Davids.
Quick.
Pastor Yemi Davids, Pastor Global Impact Church. Thank you so much, sir, for your time on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.